afternoon. Welcome back to Passionate World Radio Network. To become successful, one must put them in the path of giants. Passionate World Radio Network. And now at 1 o'clock with Lillian Caldwell, she is interviewing Jeanne McWilliams Blasberg, who wrote the novel Eden. And it's a terrific book, one that will make you stop and reflect and probably identify with the same events that go on with your own family during the summer. So good afternoon, Jeanne. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I am delighted. I read your book, and I could identify because my family was rather dysfunctional. And to boot, during the summer, they just packed us off to go away to sleepaway camp, but it didn't stretch out for the whole summer. So you had the last 2 weeks right before Labor Day, because usually we went back to school the day after Labor Day. And it was amazing how much drama and guilt they could put in those 2 weeks.
Yeah. So my book, Eden, really highlights 1 week, one big heat wave of a week leading up to the 4th of July weekend, another kind of iconic summer holiday weekend. And the chapters leading up to the 4th of July, when there's going to be a big clash or kind of the uncovering of a secret, those chapters alternate with the 100-year history of a family. So you get the backstory on why everybody's kind of as dysfunctional as they are.
And that helps, because I think it's like anything else. When you open a book, you're really stepping into action that has already taken place.
Yeah.
And you handle it so well and adroitly that you seamlessly put the dead living side by side with the living, and it seems like they're still on the same plane.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of fun, actually. There's some characters who aren't alive in the opening scene. Obviously, that's the year 2000, but you hear so much of their voice, their opinions. They're in scenes that describe the past, and they're also in the characters' thoughts so much that you get a full-rounded picture of someone like Dan, Becca's husband. He's not alive at all in the book, but I think his personality comes through crystal clear.
Yes. Well, I felt sorry for Becca because she settled.
Yeah.
And she paid a very high price for settling. And yet her granddaughter almost settled too, but she didn't quite. And that makes it even sweeter, because you realize that Becca has grown through the actions of her granddaughter.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. These women all have similar situations and face similar challenges, but it's really the way in which they choose to deal with their situations that differentiates them. And yes, the time in which they live dictates part of how they can react, but it's also their sense of optimism, their sense of possibility that helps to direct them. So I liked showing the progression as the generations went on of slight improvements in a woman's take, and then her self-awareness and her really making a name for herself and advocating for herself.
Which is difficult, because when you look at the overall history of this country, we're still very much a babe in arms.
It's true. So much happened for women over the course of 100 years. My book spans the 20th century. So much happens. Things have changed dramatically, so much so that a mother and a daughter could have experienced life so differently. But you're right, our country and our democracy is still very young. I think girls today might not totally appreciate how much advancement's been made. And one thing that I hope Eden does is sensitize people to the fact that it wasn't that long ago that women didn't have much control over the outcome in some certain realms of their life, and their choices were really dictated for them.
Oh, absolutely. I went to a World War II reenactment last Sunday with my grandchildren, and I was talking to a teacher, and I said, well, my grandmother marched in the suffragette movement in New York City. And she kind of looked at me, and I said, yeah, she was born in the late 1890s, and she passed away right after Vietnam. And I said, that was a tremendous upheaval in the social and economic of a regular, normal family within the United States.
Yeah. And when you can relate it to your family and just a generation or two generations ahead of you, it doesn't seem like that long ago. But when you talk about events in history, sometimes it just seems so long ago. So one thing I like about Eden is the way that historical events are set in the context of a family and how people personally and people's personal experience with relation to those events.
Because it's different from everyone, especially depending on what part of the country you are in, and you've been owned by previous wealthy people and were quite particular about who they let in because it was true. That's the way it was all through the Northeast, all through the Southeast. That was the way it was pretty much set up. So, Jeanne, could you please tell everybody where they can find you on the World Wide Web, where they can find your book and anything upcoming that you would long to get out there?
Okay, great. Well, I can be found on the web at my website, JeanneBlasberg.com. There's a lot of information there about my upcoming book tour, mostly along the New England coast, but other places as well. Eden has been out for a month, and it's kind of catching on and becoming kind of a viral summer read, so I'm excited about that. It's available wherever books are sold, and it's on in paper, electronic versions, and also Audible if you like to listen to books. So JeanneBlasberg.com is the best place to get in touch with me or find out more about the book.
Terrific. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first with Jeanne McWilliams-Blasberg, and the novel is Eden. And if you want to hear her interview all over again, please go over to twitter.com/Caldwell, that's CAULDWELL, or facebook.com/PWR Network LLC, or the website https://passionateworldradionetwork.com and look under Lillian Caldwell. And before you go away and stray, Emile had this to say: woman is the salvation or the destruction of the family. She carries its destinies in the folds of her mantle. Thank you very much for listening, and remember, please keep listening. Thank you.